Dr. Ruggiero, this is so exciting. Thanks so much for taking the time to do this masterclass. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Nick. It is a pleasure, an honor, and a privilege to be able to share with you all, as you said, about 40 years of, if not research, of 40 years of involvement in this field of radiations, as we call them in those times, ionizing radiations first, non-ionizing radiation now, or EMFs. You can call them the way you like, they're always the same thing. So I think it's truly a great opportunity for me today to share some experience that is actually more than 40 years old.
What I can mention for everyone, please stay until the end. We're going to have a Q&A with Dr. Ruggiero and I will be able to read some of questions that people already submitted. So please stay until the end. Dr. Ruggiero, take it away. I'm going to be there in the background, mute myself, and if I have questions or clarifications, I'll step in.
Wonderful. Okay, let's see if I'm able to share the screen. Wonderful. Okay, so we can start. An inner shield against the harmful effects of electromagnetic fields. And I shall be talking about superluminal, it means faster than light, particles, biological quantum entanglement, and microbiome medicine. As usual, I advise you that no information in this talk is presented as medical advice. And of course, I recommend that the standard of care for any disease has to be followed, as well as rules and regulations established by health authorities of each country. I barely know what they are here in Arizona, where I'm talking from. So please do not put yourself into troubles. I wish to disclose my conflict of interest because I am the inventor of a number of supplements, including the one that will be described today called Praesidium, the EMF protector, and I developed the approaches and the products described in this study. Please allow me to introduce myself. I obtained my MD in 1980, later a PhD in molecular biology. I served in the army, in the Italian army that is part of the North Atlantic Alliance or NATO, as lieutenant medical officer in 1982-83. And this is important because it is in the army that I first became exposed not only to radiations, but also to this fascinating field. Later, I worked as a postdoc at Burroughs Wellcome, famous big pharma in 1984 in North Carolina, USA, and then as a visiting scientist at the National Cancer Institute of the NIH, US government, since 1987. Later on, I was appointed professor of molecular biology at the University of Florence, Firenze, Italy, where I was born, in 1992, where I worked until my retirement in 2014. I also have a specialization in diagnostic radiology, and also this is important as part of my background because as a radiologist, I immediately learned how to protect myself from ionizing radiations, X-rays in this case. During the course of my career, I published more than 240 scientific articles, co-authored, among others, by scientists such as Eduardo Lapetina, Stu Aronson, Jackie Pierce, Peter Duisberg, Henry Bauer, Jeff Bradstreet, and Dietrich Klingart, my good friend Dietrich Klingart, with whom we developed the Ruggiero-Klingart protocol for chronic conditions. One of my articles in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science of the United States was sponsored by a Nobel laureate, the late Sir John Vane. Currently, my research interests are in immunotherapy, quantum biology, and microbiome medicine. For about 40 years, I studied the biological effects of different types of energies, ranging from static magnetic fields to ionizing, non-ionizing radiations, ultrasounds. And I studied these effects on normal and transformed cells in culture, in petri dishes, embryos, and organisms, with particular reference to changes in signal transduction, gene expression, cell morphology, and clinical responses. On the left, you can see the list of all my articles published on these topics, and my first article on this topic was published in a rather prestigious scientific journal called Blood in 1989. In those days, those were the early days of the magnetic resonance imaging, and we were studying the effects of magnetic resonance imaging in radiation therapy and the effects on the hematopoietic bone marrow. As I said, I keep on doing research. If you go to Google Scholar and Google my name, you can find the latest articles of mine that inevitably in these days are about COVID-19. So the latest article is about ultrasounds and neuro-COVID-19, and also an article that was published a few weeks ago on the brain microbiota as it relates to a novel theory of consciousness that has been proposed by Nobel laureate Sir Roger Penrose, together with my colleague at the University of Arizona in Tucson, Professor Stu Ameroff, the so-called orchestrated objective reduction theory of consciousness. So these are my latest articles. All of them are freely downloadable. So if you have any interest in these topics, please go to Google, and from there you can download these articles of mine.